If anyone can say they actually deserve to be a villain, well, he has a very strong case. And also her, but I'm talking about this mofo right here, Dr. Phosphorus. Good lord. Batman. You gotta let this man slide just a little bit longer. Oh yeah, did I mention Batman is also in this episode? Well, you know, his silhouette, but don't worry. People are still somehow mad about that. Players, we got Horse, we got Conor O'Gregor and his twin little brother, and Sigma's baby. All the things a growing boy, a growing over 25-year-old boy needs. This is the penultimate episode, guys. There's one left in the tank. I'll talk about everything I saw, and we shall discuss if it's looking like they can actually pull it off or not, because even though it's Gunn and I trust him, we won't know until we see the final product. We have to see if they stick the landing, because we only have like 28 more minutes of Creature Commandos left. Well, of season 1. But players, let's get right into episode 6, Priyatel Skelet. So we start off in the DCU Gotham. Now, I doubt this is what Gotham will actually look like for a myriad of reasons, right? Maybe part of Gotham, but I'll dive more into that specifically in my upcoming Batman video. But you got a gargoyle in it. I'm digging the green tint. Although I could have used a good old blimp, I'll take it. But we see Alex Sartorius, nuclear scientist, trying to escape the clutches of Rupert Thorne and his gangsters. We track back to Bakolistan, where we see the commandos hiding from the army. We got Weasel on a Sigma side quest. We got the ladies in a brothel. I believe there was an Easter egg to this episode in a song a couple years ago, something or other. There were some whores in this house. We got Flag in the ICU, Big Frank securing the PJ, Phosphorus breaking into a home, and that's when we start getting the flashbacks of his lore, the son he had, his wife, and his motivation of trying to cure cancer with this nuclear treatment, which was being funded by Rupert Thorne. But the rub was that Thorne was going to sell this information to a fascist dictator, and so Alex skewed the data that they were going to send him, but they caught on, and so Rupert Thorne not only killed Alex's family, but made Alex view their dead corpses, forced his hand through their blood, across their bodies, and all over the murder weapon to not only severely traumatize him, but frame him for this atrocity. Like, there's no way you come back normal from this. This is highly effective, permanent, and it immediately gets you, the viewer, to empathize with this monster. As repugnant as a villain can be, these moments latch you on and make you invest in these characters. From this point on, I'm not just seeing this guy as this insane flaming skull villain. I'm seeing him as a man that had his humanity ripped from him, seeing how this man got turned into a monster. So even if I don't like him, it's not as simple as bad guy is bad. It's more complex, and there's more gravity attached to anything he does moving forward. And that tragic backstory of him coming back as this burning skeleton, getting his revenge on these monsters with human masks, becoming a monster himself, is something you kind of in a way root for, and you understand how he got to be the way he is and why he's doing what he's doing. In the comics, Phosphorus debuted alongside Rupert Thorne actually in Detective Comics 469 in 1977, so pre-crisis, you know, 1985 to 86, the Bronze Age essentially. And Dr. Phosphorus was a mofo then, where he managed to poison Gotham's water supply by soaking his irradiated musty ass all up in it, until Batman caught him, of course. His whole thing was he was trying to get a tax cut from Thorne, who was the city council chairman at the time, and he was like, I might got you, but you gotta put all your money in on this power plant here. But the people apparently didn't want it to be made, so they made it in like the ocean, and it was made for cheap. So it was like a Timu nuclear plant, so it broke apart and the core exploded while he was there, and it turned him into living phosphorus, doomed to burn forever. So I would say this is definitely a one-up from the source material, in my opinion. You know, if you like villains that aren't just evil to be evil all the time, not saying that isn't fun too. So I'm hoping they remind us how much of a monster he actually is, because that would be even more complicated, and I would be that much more invested, just like they did with the Penguin. I was very lightly tipped that Rupert Thorne died, and you know, a Batman villain wouldn't get to interact with Batman, or at least the possibility had been wiped clean off of the slate, but that lasted exactly less than half of 1 second. In terms of Batman's rogues, Thorne is a motherfucking skid mark, if that. You know, he hasn't even been in all too many comics, and yeah, I can live without live action Rupert Thorne. Or can I? Yeah, I can. Which we got Batman's silhouette in this episode with the lightning strike, epic. I have zoomed in and thoroughly examined it against better judgment, and it does look like there are trunks there, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. I know James Gunn insisted on the silhouette since they don't know what they are going to commit to just yet. I think the trunks in live action work better for Superman, especially the way David Cornsweet explained the reason why he wanted them. But for Batman, whose intention is to strike fear into criminals, I don't know if that's the best bet. They look great in the comics, especially the way George Jimenez draws them. He's another GOAT, but I think Batfleck had the right idea for the most part in terms of a note trunk design, and the suit is pretty goated. I just need maybe more yellow and purple on the gloves, and I would love to see a blue suit. I don't give a fuck. I think it looks badass, but if they can make it look good, and more importantly, if this new Batman and his movies are good, then I'm good. Again, I am working on a Batman video player, so keep your ears up for that. That's why he acts so sweet to this little girl despite his visage and even paternal almost. I also really like the emphasis on the whole, it looks like I'm smiling, but I'm not. Like, he also can't express his emotion physically, which is kind of something most of these commandos have in common, but I imagine he's just sad all the time, but you could never really tell. Adding to the tragedy, Priyatel Skelet, meaning I believe in Bulgarian friend skeleton or skeleton friend, which I only know because of my 6-month Bulgarian stare
Flintstones gummies
camp. P.S. It didn't work. Back at the brothel, the bride and Nina are hiding out. The mistress examines the bride's soul as the bride tries to cast aspersions on these women for how they choose to live their life, whereas she treats herself and her well-being in an otherwise poor manner by contrast. So when Connor O'Gregor and the other metahuman comes through and starts being aggressive towards these women, Nina shows her colors even though she's not so formidable, sticking up for the girl who couldn't stand up for herself. And when Nina is being threatened, that's when the bride steps in, and her choreography was absolutely on point. She was on some Spider-Man type reflexes, and she grabbed this dude by the belt, swung his ass around the room on the bed before stealing his heart, okay? Borrowing it. King treatment. The bride is so closed off from expressing emotions, she can't even accept a thank you for saving the women. With all her trauma, it's no wonder, of course, but you get these moments of walls being broken down, a character being sincere or growing that, again, just makes you all the more invested in what they're doing, what they will do, and most importantly, making you want to see them again. Weasel, even on his little side quest, is using the technique he saw the kids using to make friends with him. So again, there are more layers being peeled back. There's more to Weasel than what it seems, and I love how the princess is reminding Weasel of the little girl, and it's almost like Weasel has a duty to protect the princess in the way he tried to protect the little girl, further illustrating the impact that event had on him. Even if Weasel is mostly a wild animal, his capacity to feel is what binds him to us as viewers. The episode ends with the whole gang coming through the castle with a famous gun lineup slow-mo walk, Big Frankie arriving in Pakistan, the princess readying the soldiers, and Flag still in a coma. I'm so curious where the hell Cersei is right now, what the hell she's up to, and how she'll even get her master plan all the way unfolded by next episode. I imagine the last episode will be the longest, and Gunn has up until this point effectively used his time with so many characters at play. Again, gotta put on the Krispy Kreme uniform. With all these characters on the board, each of them getting a pretty substantive moment of their own in such a short period of time is impressive, okay? But we will have to see it all unfold. This was probably maybe my favorite episode just because not only was it emotional, but it was also extremely action-packed. So I gotta give Priyatel Skelet a solid 8 out of 10. Cersei, what are you up to? I have a feeling Ilana's army might turn into some kind of monster army. I'm not sure, of course. I've heard some things about a new Commandos lineup being teased as well for season 2, which I'm hoping is more close to the comic lineup. You know, a Griffith I don't hate. I'm crossing my fingers for a Wolfman. Is G.I. Robot gonna return? You know, please, I'm begging. I don't know why I didn't mention it in the last video, but yeah, season 2 was announced a week or two ago, which it, you know, the CEO greenlit a second season. Who would have thought, right? But I think it's a show that deserves a second season if they can make it as good as this first season has been. But let me know your thoughts on this episode, players, and your predictions for the final episode. I'm all ears. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope all of you guys are well, and I will see you in the next one.